Hi, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of the Sacred She Soul Sessions. I am joined today by the beautiful Brittney Carmichael, who has done so many amazing things. I don't even know where to start. So welcome, Brittney.
Thanks for having me, Jenna.
Thank you so much for joining us. Why don't we just start by having you tell everyone in our community just a little bit more about who you are, if they haven't followed you before, so they know what you're all about, because you've done so many amazing things. I know everyone's going to vibe with you and find so much value on our chat today.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I love being in your sacred space because, like you, I am a spirited, soulful sister who is on that path of awakening and discovering who we really are and our magic powers. And like you said, I've had all kinds of different jobs and titles and careers, but ultimately I have taken what I've learned from behind the chair. I was a hairdresser for over a decade, and I've turned what I've learned about how women think and feel about themselves, because I've heard the dirty, honest truth. And I applied not only the lessons that I learned from them in my own life, but now I'm helping to teach that in other women's life, because I realize that true beauty begins within and it has nothing to do with the highlights. So now I inspire and empower women from all over the world to break through the fears, the limiting beliefs, and the pain from the past that they keep carrying today, so that they can finally feel the freedom that they are craving. And I also love working with female entrepreneurs because, like I said, I've had many different businesses as an entrepreneur. So I love helping women because as we awaken to our true power, we have a creative gift to share with the world. And psychic ability happened to unfold for me. And so now, in addition to all that, I am a psychic medium, which helps me in my business to be able to see through everyone's fear or limitations and see straight to who they really are. So I'm a life and business coach, hairdresser, psychic medium, magical unicorn.
I love it. I love it so much. And you are empowering so many women, and it's so true. Like, people and women need to hear this. Like, I can only imagine the things that you must have heard over a decade of doing hair. I'm just listening to women, because I know for me, thinking back on hair appointments and stuff, you really do let it all out.
All of it.
Yeah. That's so cool. And I know today that you're going to share with us a little bit more about transitioning into a vegan or plant-based lifestyle and what kind of things you've had change in your life since then. I know you've lost, like me, a significant amount of weight. So I'm really excited to share this because I know a lot of people are moving more in that plant-based direction. I know even for myself, I would consider myself vegan-ish. So mostly eating plant-based. So I just can't wait to hear your journey around all of this as well. So why don't you tell us where it all kind of started with that?
Yeah, it's such a wild ride. And, you can only look back with hindsight to see how all the dots connect. But in the process, I was like, what is happening in my life? So in 2012, my mom suffered a massive stroke and it paralyzed her. She couldn't speak. And that really shook my world. It made me become present and aware. And it taught me to live life moment to moment, not forward projecting. And so that was the key to getting all of my shit together, because it really brought me back to what's important. What am I really doing with my life? And that paired with the years of listening to how women think and feel about themselves, combined with asking my mom months after her stroke, hey, why did you have a stroke? She finally was able to speak again. And she said, because everybody needed something from me. And in that moment, I realized, just like my mother and her mother and our entire healing generation, I was giving and giving and giving, but not to myself. And in doing that, once I give, I also was receiving their emotional baggage and energy, because as sensitive people, we like to pick up their stuff and say, oh, well, if I take it, maybe you won't suffer as much. And in doing that, I created a barrier of fat as protection. And I had gathered all of their emotions in conjunct with my emotions and then shoved them on my hips. So I was about 200 pounds. I don't know if you guys use kilos or kilograms or whatever, but I was quite a bit overweight. And once my mom's stroke happened, and then I just had that cold realization of like, I did this to myself, just like she did this to herself. I was becoming aware of the law of attraction and your thoughts create your reality. So I was really finally, for the first time, taking ownership and responsibility for my own health, my own happiness, my own everything. And in doing so, I realized I wasn't happy with my body. I was working out of obligation. I was dieting 50,000 different diets, and they all worked for a moment. But the second I quit mentally, the diet quit working as well, because my mental pattern beneath all of that was I'm fat, I'm fat, I'm fat, I'm fat. And so I realized looking back now that my mental pattern was the most important factor in my ability to lose the weight, because as much as I was working out and much as I was, eating what I was supposed to be eating and a certain amount of calories, and I was counting out carbs and fat and macronutrients and all that stuff. And I hated it. That wasn't the way that I enjoyed it. Now, my husband, on the other hand, loved it. He loves counting on his calories. He loves pre-making his meals. He loves all of that. So what I've learned in transitioning to a plant-based diet is that it's not a diet. It has to be a lifestyle. It has to be a balance of what feels good for me. Where can I have moderation and balance without feeling like I'm depriving myself of good food, or I'm just overindulging all the time because I've messed up my diet. Now I don't feel like I messed up. Some days I eat a little bit more. And so the next day I have the balance of knowing, okay, I'll eat a little bit less because yesterday I filled my body with fuel. So I tried every diet, every exercise. I was in CrossFit. I did paleo. I did Atkins. I did Nutrisystem. I mean, I did it all. And going plant-based happened in, maybe 6 years ago. 6 years ago this month, actually. January 1st hit, and we said, let's try something different. We were paleo at the time. We were losing weight. We were feeling pretty good, but we hit this wall of we're not really eating as many vegetables anymore, and it's really just meat-based, and we started getting lethargic. So we decided we would go alkaline-based for 1 month. And it wasn't vegan, it wasn't plant-based, it was none of those labels. We were going basically for an alkaline-based diet. We learned, I'm going to get scientific on you guys.
Yeah,
we learned that humans have a pH as well as plants. We were growing plants at the time, a garden, and we killed some of our plants. And we realized we killed them because the pH was off. My brilliant Aquarian husband goes, hey, humans have a pH. I wonder if that's important. And sure enough, it's so important. And we learned that if the human body stays at a 7.35 on the pH scale, then no disease could ever grow or live or thrive in your environment. So we decided we would only eat alkaline-based foods. We had no idea what that meant. And we looked it up on Google, alkaline-based food list, and it just happened to be all plants. So we naturally moved into a plant-based vegan diet, not trying to go, oh, well, we don't want to eat animals, or, oh, we want to go vegan. It had nothing to do with that. It was, how can we raise our pH? This is a scientific, important proof that helps our system run properly. So we did it for 1 month. And at the end of the month, it was Chris's birthday, and we decided, hey, let's eat a burger and a shake and some fries. And we were so sick. We were so sick. And that was the day we were like, you know what? We feel so good. Our energy levels are through the roof. We're busting through workouts, leaving people in the dust, what happened? We're just eating more plants. So after we ate the burger, we decided we're never doing that again. And like I said, it's been 6 years of us living a plant-based lifestyle. Now, we can dive into all the different things that changed because of that, but that's really how I got introduced to it. It was from killing a plant to realizing that our pH matters to, holy smokes, alkaline foods raise our pH, and what foods classify as an alkaline-based food. And it turns out that it's green leafy vegetables. No sugar, no dairy, no soda, no cheese, none of that. Yeah.
But I can really relate as well, because as I've moved over the past few years into a more alkaline diet as well, when I do go back and have those splurges of, oh, I'll just have a burger or something, it makes me really, really ill. So we've just completely moved away from that. And if someone told me a couple of years ago that I wouldn't be eating meat anymore, I used to call myself the chicken strip hunter. I was all about eating meat, and I was always the very picky meat and potatoes kind of girl. So the fact that we've transitioned away from that is something that's still kind of crazy to me, but why wouldn't you when you experiment with it and you actually feel really good, and then you start to read about the scientific benefits of being alkaline and everything as well. So I can
Yeah.
definitely relate to that.
Yeah, that's just it. Like, it's how do you feel? Like, how good do you feel? And most of us, unless we're eating a very clean diet, don't realize how bad we actually feel. We're so used to the suffering or the bloating or the non-regular eliminations or whatever it may be. But the truth is if you eat something, tune into your body 30 minutes later and go, hey, how do I feel? Am I energetic or do I want to take a nap? If you want to take a nap, whatever you just ate was shit, just to be honest. And if you feel like, oh man, I'm full, I'm ready to go, I have all this energy, then what you ate was probably high vibrational alkaline based food. Because I know that if I eat 6 stalks of broccoli, I'm so full and I'm over it. But if I eat 6 bags of chips, I could keep going to 7.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's like so many people, because when you're eating the empty calories, and then usually you're doing it because it's emotional based eating, you're eating it mindlessly and you just keep
Right.
going and going. But I do find when I'm eating high vibrational foods, I'm full really fast. I'm satisfied. I'm
Yep.
energized. Like I genuinely feel better right down to my core. And for all the ladies that are watching us right now, let us know. Like, I'm curious for those that are watching, are you on a plant-based diet? Have you played around with this? Like, what kind of diet do you have and how do you feel about it? Let us know in the comments, or if you have
Yeah.
any questions for Brittney as well.
Yeah. What is your
Um,
biggest struggle when it comes to making that transition? Because in my own experience coaching women, every single woman, especially more spirited women that are waking up to our internal guidance, our intuition, our psychic abilities, are being guided. Let go of alcohol, let go of sugar, let go of animals. And we're all being guided internally, but some of us are resistant. So I really want to help people that are facing that resistance of, well, I don't really know what to do, or I don't really want to, but I know I should. Like, if you have a question around that, let's really dive into that, because this was the best change I've ever made in my life. And talking about eating high vibrational foods, it makes you high vibrational, right? Just like
Absolutely.
meditating and loving and having sex, they all raise your energy. Well, so does the food that you put in your body, because the food is the fuel. And if you think about it in that way, you wouldn't pour water or Diet Coke in your gasoline tank in your car. You value that expensive vehicle way more, right, than putting something that you know isn't good for it. But why do we not do that for ourselves? Why do we not value our spiritual vehicle, the body that we chose to zoom around in? Why would we not honor it just as much as we would honor our $30,000 car? We're way more valuable
Absolutely.
than that.
And I think that was one of the major disconnects I had for a long time, because I had reduced my sugar intake. I had reduced so many things. I was eating organic, mostly plant-based, but I was still eating meat until a couple of months ago. And the thing that shifted for me, because I didn't quite identify with not eating animals just because I didn't want to eat animals. Like, I was definitely making sure to eat ethical, but for me, all of a sudden, like, this light bulb went off where I was like, holy shit, I'm spending all of this money on organics, fruits, and vegetables, and I'm making sure to eat this alkaline diet. And then not only am I eating meat, which isn't alkaline, but then I'm eating meat that, is going to have some hormones and it's having things in it. And then when you look at the vibrational state of it, it was definitely not a high vibrational food. And I took that out, and then I had so many more shifts. Like, I feel more in tune with my body. I feel more energized. And I think a lot of people are finding that they're having resistance because they're tied to that story of why they can't let something go.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And it's interesting because, like I said as well, I didn't go like vegan based on like animal ethics or anything like that. I didn't realize it was killing our planet and our environment and global warming. That all came later. I just based on, how do I feel? What is this doing for me? It was very selfish in the beginning, because it was, hey man, it should be. It's about our life and what you need to do for you to make it the best and where you can thrive and feel amazing. And once I got to that state, once I raised my vibration and I eliminated all the chemicals and toxins, I threw out everything in my makeup, everything I was drinking, every candle, every lotion and potion, if it had a chemical. So I can tell you today, I'm 100% plant-based in all things that I do. If it touches my body or if I come in contact with it, if I have control of it, I'm choosing a chemical-free lifestyle. And in doing that, it raised my vibration so much, which I had no idea this would happen, that my psychic abilities that we all already have, our natural intuitive abilities, began to get louder and louder and louder. And I was able to connect and hear more of my own spiritual guidance in addition to angelic guidance that was coming from beyond just my higher self. So when you put yourself in a high vibrational state, not only do you feel amazing physically and energetically, but on a spiritual level, you are vibrating at such a high frequency that you can connect with other high vibrational frequencies, which if you're into woo stuff, then we know that angels and things of the like vibrate at such a high level. It's like blowing a dog whistle. Humans can't hear it because it's such a high pitch, but dogs can. So it's very similar in that if we raise our vibration up high enough that we can connect with other high vibrational beings, angels and whatnot. So it wasn't about don't kill the animals until I was aware enough to realize, oh my gosh, we're killing animals, which is not what we're meant to do. They're sentient beings. And also they are acidic, like you said. So eating them has no benefit to us. I think that some people could say, well, there's protein in this, but if you look at the plants have everything you need. And Emma's talking about having problems with iron levels. Now, it's important to note that when you go vegan, you have to make sure that you are getting all of those minerals and nutrients and amino acids and micronutrients essentially. So when you talk about trying to keep your iron levels up, there's tons of green leafy vegetables that have a huge amount of iron. I feel like kale is one of them, probably even spinach, something that you would Google. That's not something I have off the top of my head. You could even take iron supplements. So if iron specifically is her problem or your problem, then I would recommend going and finding an iron source. For me, I take vitamin D3 and B12 on a regular basis because they aren't overabundant in the plants, but it's important that we do have them.
Yeah, absolutely. I love your answer as well because I don't know them all off the top of my head, but there are
tons,
a lot of different options out there that have iron, and there's lots of great vegan and plant-based smoothies that you can make out there that are jam-packed full of all the vitamins that you need as well. And I see Angela's asking, I went vegan for a month. I loved it, but I found so many conflicting opinions over soy. So I'm not sure about you, Brittney. I know myself, I've just chosen to stay soy-free. I don't have any soy in my diet. I stay away from gluten and dairy and meat as well. What about you? What's your opinion around soy?
Yeah, so for the first 5 years, maybe 5.5 years, I didn't touch soy. I didn't want anything to do with it because there were studies out saying that it can raise your estrogen and all of this stuff. But now the studies are saying that it is actually good for you and it is fermented, which fermented is really good for gut health. So I've been eating tofu lately what else have I been including? Really, it's just been a lot of tofu and tempeh, which is the first time I've ever messed with them. I feel good. I really enjoy the amount of protein that comes out of it. And again, it's all about how do you feel after you eat it. So for the longest time, I didn't mess with it based on, all the conflicting ideas. I don't do gluten and I don't do dairy. And I eliminate processed food. So doing soy, it is a processed food. So putting soy into my diet was a conscious decision that I made just to go, well, how does this make me feel? And there's a lot of options that you can incorporate in eating if you do choose to use tofu or something like that. So I am experimenting with it now. However, the first 5.5 years of my plant-based lifestyle, I did not mess with it.
Yeah, and I think that's great because it's all about playing around. Like I would never say I'll never try it. I definitely would look into it as more studies come out. Maybe I will play around with it, but I think it comes back to what you said too of just seeing how it makes you feel.
Yeah.
Because one thing for one person might not work for another. And I see Sarah says, I used to be vegetarian when I was younger and was not around positive people. I was shamed for it. So I returned to meat, but I know I need to go back to plant-based. I just don't know how to do it properly and cost efficiently, as well as dealing with the shame of those around. So I know for myself, I definitely, I was raised meat and potatoes, so going vegetarian as a kid was never even a thought in my head. But it definitely, for me, has been saving money on my grocery bill, that's for sure, since I cut out meat. What about you, Brittney?
Oh, absolutely. And I always giggle when people say going vegan's expensive. Have you ever bought a sweet potato? They're so cheap and they're so healthy and so they provide so much energy. So actually right now, Chris and I are experimenting with pre-prepping all of our meals and buying in bulk and doing lentils and sweet potatoes and things like that. And what we've found is that an entire week's worth of food if you buy this way, boils down to like $3 a meal. So to me, it's like crazy cheap, and it's super filling, so you don't have to eat as much. As far as going vegan and getting shamed for it, I mean, today, like 2018, not going to be as hard as it was so many years ago. Being vegan in Texas and psychic was really a tough coming out of the closet for me. But I stayed true to what was right for me and what felt good for me. And I would go out to dinner with my family, and I'd look at them eating all their meat and their fried foods. And at the dinner table, they'd start to like get sluggish and tired, and their bellies are full. And I, just greens or just vegetables, and I'm feeling great. I'm like, all right, what's next? So I can visibly see the effects of it, and they're all like, oh, I don't feel good. Like, why do you eat vegetables? Like, well, because I feel good, and I'm looking at all of you feeling miserable and tired. So I just stayed firm to what was right for me. I allowed others to do what they want to do. I'm not here to convert anyone. I just do what feels good for me. And eventually, 6 years in, all of my friends who were extremely resistant, one of them had a barbecue blog, all of my friends that were resistant, all of my family, they're starting to like come around like, wow, you've lost so much weight. You're healthy and happy and the most joyful you've ever been. Can you show me how to do that?
Absolutely. Well, and that's where things come in too, where maybe it is not for everyone in right now in this time. Like Kelly has just said, vegan is not for everyone. I wish we could all come to this collectively one day. And I'd have to agree with Kelly that maybe not everyone is ready for that, or maybe for whatever kind of medical condition, maybe it doesn't fit right now for them. But I feel like more and more of us are moving in that direction.
I think it's important just to find your resistance. Why are you resisting this idea? And then that to me would be the first step for everyone as an individual to figure out, well, why would I resist this? Why do I think this isn't for me? Because each of us are going to have our own opinions about it, and based on what we've learned from childhood, maybe what we've experimented, what we've learned from outside resources. So many more people are, there's so many more vegan options now, and so many more people coming out as plant-based. So it's so much easier to step into that with the right amount of knowledge, because it's starting to show up more, which is great.
Yeah, no, I love that. And so I'm curious too, so you kind of touched on it about how your psychic abilities are high vibe. So did you notice that right away? Did it take a little while? Like, has it just been a progression since you've changed your diet and just become more open to these kinds of things?
Yeah, it was just a natural progression. Again, we're all psychic, we're all intuitive. But like I said, as I started eliminating the toxins and the suffering from the animals that I was eating, I eliminated it from my own energetic field. And in doing so, it allowed me to, like I said, hear more clearly. So in meditation or doing my tarot readings, it was just like I was connecting really quickly. Let's see what else happened. Another thing that also contributed is that I was interested in it. As I was clearing out my diet and getting rid of toxins and not eating animals, my own curiosity and my own passion and what I was wanting to learn happened to fall in the more spiritual, metaphysical, crystal kind of way. And so I was reading tarot, and I started it at about the same time. And in doing that, I just feel like you're so much more clear-headed, and you can just, like I said, I say hear more clearly, because for me, I hear and see my own, my internal visions and voices and stuff.
I love that.
I think it was a combination of cleaning up my diet and having the intention and the willingness to learn and to practice. And so those two kind of combined just really opened up the door.
And I think for so many of us, it sparks with wanting just to be open, because I know when we have all of that resistance, for me as well, I have to look at why am I resisting it? Why am I not open? And it's whether it's food or spirituality or something else. Usually there's some sort of deep-rooted fear there. And as we start to do different things that increase our vibration, so things like going more plant-based, doing different things like that, it does make the bigger picture start to shift. I know for myself, I was really closed off to my spirituality for a long time. And as I started to open up, then more possibilities and kind of options start presenting themselves to you, and you start to just get more in tune with it.
Absolutely. And that's why I don't think I have a specific answer, because it just naturally happened. It was my curiosity was leading me in that direction, and I was cleaning up my physical diet and energetic diet, essentially.
Awesome. Oh, it looks like there's another question here, but my screen is just glitched out.
I can see it if you'd like me to read.
Yeah, go
Kelly's
ahead.
Yeah, she's still here, and she says, my friend who is studying to be a doctor of naturopath, and she was a vegan food for many years, and it didn't work for her being an O blood type, so finally she is more balanced in her body eating meat.
Oh, okay. I've heard about different blood types, like eating for your blood type. It's honestly not something I'm super familiar with. I've done a little bit of research for myself based on my own blood type, and for me, it just didn't feel light. It didn't really vibrate with me, and I chose to go another way, and I feel better than what was recommended for me with my blood type. Are you familiar much with eating for your blood type, Brittney?
No, I'm not familiar with eating for your blood type, but I am familiar with the Ayurvedic way of eating for your dosh. And that to me was really eye-opening, in that my husband is one particular type of dosh and I'm another particular type, and I could see how, the things I'm addicted to or the things that I crave are completely different from him. We have completely different body types. I'm way more curvy and luscious, and he's more straight, so that I didn't even realize that, like, if you sleep longer, you're like the way that you eat is supposed to be a specific way. I'm supposed to eat more cold and raw foods versus Chris is supposed to eat less salty and more cooked foods. So that, to me, I'm more familiar with, not the blood type. For me, it never really came up as a problem. I never really ran into that barrier. Like I said, the second I started eating plants, I felt better. End of story.
Yeah, I think it really all comes back down to finding what works for you and what feels good. So if you have a friend and that's feeling good for her and she's feeling like she's in her optimal body right now and she's high energy and she's feeling in alignment with that, then I think that's what it really comes down to. And I just think that a lot of us are moving into just generally more open than around what are we eating, and we're just questioning more of why are we led to believe a certain thing and what does that really mean. Like, I know for myself, it was a lot of questioning childhood beliefs and a lot of questioning social conditioning and just starting to explore and really just listening into that more intuitive side of what feels good. And like you said, do I feel good or do I feel shitty 30 minutes after I ate, and starting to judge whether or not that means that that food's agreeing with me or not.
Yeah. And this, just like our life, everything is an experiment for you. And so, like you're saying, it's important to eat for what feels good for you. If you feel good eating animals, like, go for it. Go do your thing. I'm not here to judge you. This is up to you. So if you feel less than amazing, if you're not living an optimum life where you're 100% happy and 100% healthy, then that's when we need to start making changes. So if you're 100% happy and healthy, go do your thing, whatever that may be. But for me, when I am most happy and most healthiest, it's a plant-based, spiritually connected lifestyle.
I love it. So, Brittney, I know you have a lot of different things that you do. You kind of told us about that in the beginning. But where can people best follow you and stay connected with you? And I know that you said you have a free gift as well for everyone in our community as well, if you can tell us about that.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you so much for opening up your beautiful tribe to let me in and share some of my journey, because I think that it's in sharing our stories with people that inspires and empowers others to start making changes in their life. Because maybe some of you watching have been like, I would like to make some changes in my life. Maybe it's not going 100% plant-based, but maybe it's just cutting out coffee, because we know that that's super acidic. And we don't need external energy because we are generators of energy. And the more we supplement false man-made energy, essentially, although it does come from coffee beans, but you understand what I'm saying. It's processed and sugar and all that in there. Then we are taking away from our natural ability to create the abundant energy that we can make. So what I would like to offer your beautiful tribe is my free self-love guided meditation, because all of us need to get back in tune with who we are and get back to our roots and let our own innate, natural inner wisdom be our guide. And the self-love guided meditation will help you to clear out your mind space, relax your body. And in that state of total relaxation, you can hear your inner guidance. And that's what I'm saying. The more I went plant-based and the more I tuned into this beautiful trance state of relaxation, the more of my own wisdom would come through. And it was so clear and obvious. It's like when you have your intuitive hits and it hits you and you're like, oh yeah, I know. So I want to offer my free self-love guided meditation to your tribe. And instead of calling everyone over to my Shine Tribe Sisterhood, because you have created such a sacred, beautiful space, I would just like to invite you guys to follow me over on Instagram. And that is at The World by Britt, Brit with 1 T. And we'll put that in the comments below.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll link up the meditation and the comments, and your Facebook, I'll tag you as well, so people can find you and your profile and everything on here, because you're up to so much amazing stuff. And really, that's what I always wrap up our calls with, is reminding everyone, because it gets me so fired up, is just the interconnectedness of women and supporting each other as we rise up and sharing these nuggets of wisdom. And for some people it's going to resonate and for some people it's not, but I think that's what it's all about, is just sharing this wisdom, and people are going to take from it what they're going to take and spread it around. And I think there's just so much value in our world right now for women to keep coming together and joining up communities, joining up tribes, spreading the messages, and that's how we are going to continue to move this divine feminine movement forward, and people are reconnecting and coming home to themselves.
Emma says, followed. Thanks for sharing your shine. Oh, Emma, that's so cool. She must know something, because I am the founder of Shine School, where I teach women to awaken to their authentic self. So I must be authentically coming across as I intend to. So thank you so much for the follow, Emma. How cool is that?
Yeah, and thank you too. I see there's been a lot of women that have been hopping on and commenting and joining. Brittney and I will go through the comments and make sure all the questions got answered afterwards, but really want to thank everyone that joined us. And if you're catching the replay, then hi as well. Let us know in the comments if you have questions or if you enjoyed the video today. And yeah, thank you so much for joining us today, Brittney, as well, because we're really blessed that you took the time to come into our community for a few minutes and share your journey.
Yeah, absolutely. I love being able to talk about what the comment just said, a controversial, seemingly controversial topic. However, it should just be a normal, everyday conversation, just as sex and woo-woo and magic and all the other things that make me curious and light me up. And I think we're moving into that kind of reality. And especially with women like all of us here, if you're watching, you're a powerhouse as well, because you're here to, want to change things in your own life that will essentially make the world a better place. And that may just be, you being more happy and more healthy, because when you're in that state, you're just a better person. You treat your friends and family and strangers in a better and more kind and loving way.
Ooh, I have goosebumps. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, and I've seen everyone's following. And this
Yay! Thank you, guys. I'm so excited. I love being able to share my life with people, so that, we always look at all these celebrities, and I was guilty of this, like looking at celebrities and being like, oh my God, they have the perfect life. Well, now with shows like Keeping Up with the Kardashians, their life is not that perfect. It's not at all.
Our own perfect, and I think it's about being imperfectly perfect, but just starting to feel good in our lives. And if things are really not feeling good, then be brave to go and start changing them, even if that's little things.
That's exactly it. And I think that's the wisest wisdom we could leave anyone with today is like, if you're not happy, change it, and and know that you have the power to change it.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I'm super inspired by you, and I can resonate as well after my own weight loss journey and going plant-based and becoming more spiritual. And I know there's going to be lots of women clearly that are resonating with this as well. So perfect topic for today, and thanks again.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me. I'm happy to share anytime, and I'd love to have you over in my Shine Tribe Sisterhood, where you could talk about, we can bring this conversation over there and continue this conversation.
Let's do it.
Yeah, sweet.
All right. Thank you so much, everyone. Have an amazing, amazing day, and have